Karen triggered my motion light nightly, so I lit up the whole neighborhood. I didn't move to the suburbs to fight over photons, but here we are. Name's Trey Carter, 39, structural engineer by day, barbecue pitmaster by weekend. I bought my house on Peachfield Drive after years of scraping together savings. Quiet neighborhood, big oak trees, and a driveway just wide enough for my truck and my smoker. All I wanted was peace. What I got was Karen. She introduced herself the day I moved in clipped words, stiff handshake, clipboard in hand. I'm Karen Delacroix, Vice Chair of the Sycamore Glade HOA Outreach Subcommittee. I nodded politely, even though I already knew something was off. My realtor told me during closing, the original HOA dissolved 5 years ago. No fees, no restrictions. But Karen didn't seem to get the memo. She wore that fake title like armor. For a while, she left me alone, until I installed a motion-activated LED light above my garage. It was simple, warm tone, energy efficient, kept raccoons out of the trash. But apparently, it was a violation. The first complaint came by a printed letter slipped into my mailbox. Notice of lighting noncompliance, resident Trey Carter. Violation excessive motion, triggered luminosity, action disable fixture or face community review board penalties. I laughed. Out loud. I crumpled it and went about my day. That night, Karen triggered the light 7 times. I didn't imagine it. I watched through the blinds as she paced past my driveway again and again, slow, deliberate steps, as if hoping to set it off every time. After the 5th time, she looked directly at my camera and smirked. That's when I realized this wasn't about a light. It was about control. She wanted submission. I gave her illumination. The morning after the 7th accidental trigger, I reviewed the footage from my Ring camera. There she was, Karen, jogging pants tucked into Uggs, pacing like a lighthouse keeper in heat, every lap slower than the last. Each step placed with surgical precision to keep that light flashing on and off like a disco ball for the dead. And her face, smirking, self-satisfied, like someone sure they'd found your weak spot. But she underestimated the wrong guy. I designed bridges, highways. I once calculated stress loads for an airbase hangar during a monsoon season in Guam, and she thought I'd crack over an LED bulb. Nah, instead of replacing the light, I upgraded it. 2 30,000 lumen LED industrial-grade floodlights, waterproof, motion-activated, adjustable beam range. I mounted them on either side of my garage with the precision of a NASA tech doing rocket alignment. That night, the second she tiptoed past my driveway, boom! The entire cul-de-sac lit up like Super Bowl halftime. Her reaction. She dropped her fake citation clipboard and ran like someone had hit the nuke alarm. The next morning, I woke to find 3 things in my mailbox: a printed letter in bold font titled, Unapproved Modifications to Exterior Electrical Fixtures. A second fine for community light abuse, Category B. A hand-scribbled note in all caps, you think this is funny. Yeah, Karen, I kinda did. Especially after Ray, my 74-year-old neighbor across the street, walked over laughing. Son, I haven't seen her move that fast since she tried to chase down a food truck for parking too close to her petunias. But then, things turned. She started playing dirty. She filed a complaint with the city code office claiming I had installed unauthorized outdoor commercial equipment in a residential zone. An inspector showed up 2 days later. Nice guy. Wore sunglasses the whole time. So these are motion activated, he asked, squinting at the spotlights. Yep, I replied. Only turn on if someone enters the driveway. He nodded. They're bright, but not illegal. Not even close. Honestly, impressive install. Karen showed up during the inspection. Of course, holding a folder thicker than my mortgage agreement. This is a violation of the neighborhood's nightlight neutrality pact, she snapped. The inspector blinked. The what? It's in the bylaws. There are no bylaws. This subdivision hasn't had a registered HOA since 2018. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. But, but I'm the vice chair of what I cut in. Your printer. That night, I got over 40 messages in the neighborhood Facebook group, most of them from people who had no idea they weren't actually in an HOA. She told us we'd get fined if we parked on the street. She made me repaint my fence. She said our trampoline violated aesthetic verticality. Karen had been running a full-blown fake HOA empire on fear and fake documents. I collected screenshots, copies of her citations, and video of her pacing in front of my driveway. And then I made a call, not to the city, to a woman named Serena Cho. Karen didn't know it yet, but the spotlight wasn't just on my driveway anymore. It was about to be on her. When Serena Cho stepped onto my porch, she didn't look like much. Mid-30s, sharp eyes, jeans, blazer, clipboard in hand. But I knew better. Serena was a fraud investigator with the state auditor's office, specialized in unregistered HOAs, false municipal authority, and what she called suburban warlords with printers. I handed her a thick folder of Karen's fake citations, her HOA newsletters, and screenshots from the Facebook group. She scanned a few, paused, and smiled. This woman's more organized than most small-town governments, but none of it's legal. I said, not a word. She confirmed. But if she's collected money, issued threats, or filed false documents, she's in deep. Oh, she's done all three, I said, flipping to the page with Mrs. Patel's fine for leaving her recycling bin out past noon. She paid $85 via Venmo to an account labeled SGHA Cleanliness Team. Venmo, Serena said. That's traceable. Idiot. Serena stayed for 3 hours. She interviewed neighbors, photographed the spotlights, even took a selfie with Franklin the Turtle, yes. That Franklin from Lily's viral story last month. Turns out Lily and I went to college together, and she'd come to visit just in time for the show. We discovered over 92 fraudulent warnings issued by Karen in just the past year. Some were fines, others were threats, but they all had one thing in common: fear. That night, I created a new group, Peachfield United Real Neighbors. No fake rules within a week. We had 112 members. By the end of the second week, we had over 200. And a plan. Step 1. Expose the fake authority. Serena wrote an official report and sent it to the entire neighborhood. It included a statement from the city, declaring that no HOA or Sycamore Glade Compliance Board existed, and that Karen Barnes had no legal authority to issue fines, demand changes to property, or claim enforcement rights. Step 2, reclaim public space. We organized a lighted-up block party. Everyone who had ever been fined, warned, or intimidated by Karen brought out porch lights, string lights, solar lanterns, floodlights, even a few disco balls. We strung them across driveways, trees, fences. The whole street lit up like a concert stage. The spotlight wasn't just a joke anymore. It was our protest. Karen, of course, came outside the moment the lights blinked on, clutching her clipboard like it was a holy text. This violates visual cohesion, she screamed. Visual this, Ray shouted, flipping on a glowing inflatable flamingo in his yard. Karen marched into the middle of the street. I'm calling the sheriff. No need, I said. He's already here. Sure enough, Deputy Ellis stepped out of his cruiser, arms folded, smirking. Evening. Karen, he said, heard you've been issuing legal documents under a non-existent authority. I'm preserving standards. You're impersonating an HOA official. And you're under active investigation. Karen tried to spin it. I'm just a volunteer. These people are ungrateful. Ellis nodded to Serena, who walked forward with a sealed envelope. Ms. Barnes, this is a formal cease and desist. If you issue one more citation, threaten one more resident, or try to collect another dollar, we will move forward with criminal charges. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. You can't do this. Serena just smiled. We already did. The next morning, her fake signs were gone. Her Facebook group was deleted. The compliance board website redirected to a turtle sanctuary in Iowa. Okay, that was me. Couldn't resist. But the real payoff, people started talking to each other again. For a while after Karen's fake empire crumbled, things felt quiet, not awkward, just still. Like when the power comes back on after a long outage, and everyone just listens to the hum. Neighbors who used to hide behind trimmed hedges started waving again. Conversations bloomed across porches. One guy even dragged a couch out to his front lawn like it was 1997 and said, "Front yard's open. Beer's cold." We were all healing from years of citations that never should have existed, from the fear of a woman who patrolled sidewalks with a clipboard and enough fake bylaws to run a dictatorship. But the scars were there. Mrs. Patel hadn't put out her garden lights in over a year. She whispered to me one afternoon, "I still feel like I'll get a letter if I hang wind chimes again." "You won't," I told her. "Not while we've got each other." So we planned something bigger than revenge. We planned a Light the Block Freedom Festival, not petty, not spiteful, joyful, loud, blindingly bright. We handed out flyers with a hand-drawn spotlight on them and one simple message: let's take our power back. Literally, the whole neighborhood came together. Kids painted signs, "No more light bullies," "Spotlight's crime," and my favorite, "Karen's out, community's in." Saturday night came. Folks lined their yards with every glowing thing they could find: solar sticks, LED rope, holiday reindeer repurposed for spring, flashlights taped to trees, and of course my two industrial-grade driveway spotlights, aimed skyward like bat signals. As the sun dipped behind the oak line, Ray queued up his playlist, and the first beat dropped Michael Jackson's "Wanna Be Startin' Something." The neighborhood lit up. It was ridiculous. It was beautiful. And then Karen returned. We hadn't seen her since the cease and desist. She'd gone radio silent, no compliance posts, no HOA emails, no driveway pacing. But that night, she pulled up slow in her beige sedan and parked in front of her house like a storm cloud rolling in. She stepped out wearing her vest, the one with community order officer still printed across the chest. No one said a word. Not yet. She stood there, arms folded, staring at the lights. Then, with a sharp inhale, she stormed toward my driveway. "You've made a mockery of this place," she spat. "No," I said, keeping my voice calm. "We took it back." Her lips twisted. "You can't erase rules. Civilization needs order. Without structure, we're animals." Behind me, Mrs. Patel spoke up. "Karen, you weren't enforcing order. You were enforcing yourself." Karen turned. "You broke lighting harmony codes." "There are no codes," I said. "Only the ones you printed." Ray stepped in next. "We followed your rules out of fear, not respect." Serena, standing quietly off to the side, pulled out her phone and pressed record. "Karen, I suggest you leave now. You're one fake citation away from probation violation." Karen's eyes flared. "You think this is over? You think a few light bulbs fix a broken neighborhood?" I stepped closer. "We're not fixing a neighborhood. We're building a community. One you're no longer in charge of." She didn't have a reply. She turned, muttered something about moving out, and disappeared into her garage. And that was it. The moment we realized she had no more power, because we had stopped giving it to her. That night, the street was brighter than ever, partly because of the lights, but mostly because of the people who refused to be kept in the dark any longer. 2 weeks after the Freedom Festival, Karen's house went on the market. No fanfare, no farewells, just a "For Sale by Owner" sign planted on her weedless front lawn, wilting in the summer heat like her credibility. Rumor was she'd been fined by the county for falsifying legal documents and ordered to pay restitution to several neighbors. She never said goodbye. Not that anyone waited for it, but the space she left behind. We filled it. The neighborhood created a new monthly gathering, Porchlight Fridays. Every last Friday of the month, folks lit up their yards, turned off their TVs, and came outside. No rules, no structure, just folding chairs, lawn music, conversation, and food passed from hand to hand. One evening, Mrs. Patel brought homemade samosas. Ray set up a karaoke mic and sang Old Motown. The Sanders twins ran a flashlight obstacle course while Franklin the Turtle, yes, again made a guest appearance in a wagon decorated with glow sticks. We weren't just rebuilding, we were glowing with the joy of ownership, not of land, but of belonging. At the next city council meeting, I stood up during the community comment period. I don't need another ordinance. I said, I don't need an HOA revival or a compliance task force. I just need us to remember power isn't about who prints the most forms. It's about who brings the most light. The room clapped. And then, the mayor announced that Peachfield Drive would be featured in a statewide campaign for neighborhood self-governance and community resilience. A photo of our Light the Block night even made the cover of the county newsletter. That same week, I received a letter. Not an envelope full of fake fines or HOA threats. Just a folded thank you note, with no return address. Inside was a single line. Thanks for showing the rest of us we didn't have to stay in the dark. Underneath, taped with care, was one of Karen's original lighting violation notices. Someone had drawn a cartoon sun on it and stamped in red, voided by the people. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped it in my chili. Franklin got his own Facebook page. Jess got a scholarship to study urban community planning. And Ray, well, he bought 4 more inflatable flamingos. The final spotlight, still mounted on my garage. Still motion triggered, still ready. Just in case someone else thinks fear can masquerade as law again. But mostly, it stands as a beacon for truth, for laughter, for every neighbor who once felt alone in the dark and now knows we're in this together. Karen kept triggering my driveway light, hoping to intimidate, to shame, to control. Instead, she lit a fire. She wanted darkness. We gave her daylight, because sometimes it takes one bright act to reveal every hidden lie. So I'll ask you this. Have you ever been manipulated by someone hiding behind fake authority? Did you stay silent, or did you shine a light? Drop your story below. Let's talk about power, truth, and how neighborhoods heal together.